color analysis is all over social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. You might have even tried the viral filter on TikTok to figure out which colors might look most flattering on you. I've tried that myself. Maybe it left you even more confused and skeptical than before. I'm guessing there's something about color analysis that kind of draws you in despite maybe also being a little bit hesitant. Otherwise, why would you be watching this video, right? Can it really be that there are colors that are quote unquote wrong or right for you? And what if you can't really tell the difference between those colors? What if you enjoy wearing colors that technically shouldn't be your best? I'm going to clarify all of that for you in today's video. So first things first, if you don't know me, who am I? I am a former fashion designer turned certified wardrobe consultant. I'm also a certified color and makeup consultant via the Color Me Beautiful Training Academy in the UK. As it's been almost 2 years and over 300 clients since I took on this new chapter of my business, and since I'm often met with the same misconceptions and questions, I figured it was about time to bust some of those common myths in this video. If you want to learn a little bit more about the history and the technique of color analysis, feel free to check out an article I wrote a little while back, which I will link down below for you. So let's get down to it. Can color analysis really help change the way you dress for the better? And how religiously do you need to follow the principles? And what happens after the analysis? Like, how do you put it all into practice? That's what we'll discuss in today's video. With the flare-up of color analysis these years, because color analysis is not new, we've seen it since the 80s, I've noticed that there are two very divided groups of people talking about the matter. So there are the skeptics, who come in the shape of just general consumers not wanting to be told what they should or shouldn't wear. Maybe you've had a color analysis done once and you didn't like the outcome. Finally, within the same group of skeptics, there are also wardrobe consultants and stylists who don't personally follow or believe in color analysis principles and who believe that they are more restrictive than helpful. And then we have the true color analysis believers. Really important for me to say here that I have absolutely no hard feelings towards either one of the two groups. It's really each to their own matter, and everyone are completely free to form their own opinion. Style and clothing rules, guidelines, techniques, and methods are really free for anyone to follow, and I sincerely believe that you should put together your own little styling toolkit in whichever way it makes you most happy. It might come as a surprise to you, seeing as I've built a relatively large part of my business on color analysis, but I find myself somewhere in the middle between those two groups. I understand the skeptics because I actually used to be one. I have always been fascinated with the concept of color analysis ever since I was a little girl, flicking through my mom's original Color Me Beautiful book, not understanding one little thing about it. And then today I've turned into one of the believers who has, of course, undergone training, lots of experience through working with hundreds of clients, and essentially gone through a color analysis myself like any other client. And I truly feel like it has helped me unlock more confidence, more potential within myself and the way I dress. Sure, an all black look can be dramatic and super chic, but I was bored with how much power it had over my fashion choices and my wardrobe in general. I just never really realized that until I dived into color analysis for real. So it's been a slow process adding color to my wardrobe, and it still is, because I want to be mindful about how much new stuff I buy. So a lot of my wardrobe is still pretty neutral, but it is surely but slowly happening that I'm starting to wear more color. I've gone from being someone who only ever looked at monochrome colors like black, white, and gray as truly versatile and timeless, to someone who is no longer afraid to also wear color and just show a little bit more personality, you know? So being quite the connoisseur of neutral outfits, though, I even feel more confident about neutrals, which, by the way, aren't just neutrals, even they come in different variations. So my own verdict is, don't slack off color analysis entirely before maybe you've tried it yourself. It might not be for you, and that's totally fine, but it might also be just the thing you need to get more wear out of your wardrobe and start making smarter fashion choices, whatever that means to you. Because it's not about dictating what you should or shouldn't wear. It's simply a tool you can use for more direction and more coherence within your wardrobe. So maybe learn how it works, and then you can always break and bend the rules more mindfully afterwards, and maybe ultimately decide that this is not for you at all, which again, totally okay. Now, if color analysis is completely new to you, I will link a couple of resources below of this video, a couple of articles where I go over the principles of the tonal system that I've been trained to use. There's also an article where I talk you through what happens during the analysis. I will also link a video of me giving Christina Michas a virtual color analysis so you can learn more about the technique and kind of see it in action on a client. Do make sure to follow me on Instagram and maybe on my blog too, because I just had a bunch of clients come to my studio for a photo shoot so that I can share more examples with you on my platforms very soon. But let's say that, all right, you went through a color analysis, you now have an amazing color palette with all of these new colors. Then what? I have a couple of things there that I want to address, which I think are really important to keep in mind. Different techniques might give different outcomes. Some of you might know the seasonal approach. I work with something called the tonal system, which is different. They both have similarities, but they're different. And I've mentioned this before, there are different techniques out there and they might give slightly different outcomes. I cannot tell you which one you should choose because essentially there's no right or wrong here. It's style, it's fashion. We all perceive color differently. There are simply just different ways of approaching color analysis. Stylists are, of course, trained to work with all sorts of people regardless of their style preferences. But of course, we're all different and we do things differently, even when we work with clients. And I think there are different types of stylists for different types of clients and people. Your color palette is made up of color examples. When you get a full color analysis with me, you leave my studio with 42 colors in your palette. Now, these are, of course, not the only 42 colors you could ever wear. They are just color examples to help you explore the dimensions of your best colors. If you're a soft, cool light like me, then those are your dimensions of color. So until you learn what a soft color even looks like, or a cool color for that matter, it's nice to have the palette to guide you. But you don't have to follow it religiously or match the color exactly when you're out shopping for new pieces, because it would be impossible. Color analysis shouldn't feel like a color prison like that. It should make you feel liberated and confident and just give you some more direction. You can use it as a guideline for clothing and potentially makeup colors. Depending on the color analysis type you get, you can use your palette as guideline for choosing the right clothing colors and makeup colors. The latter to a certain extent. For example, if you're a soft, keep the makeup color soft too, and if you're deep, keep your makeup color slightly deeper too. We can't always define your skin undertone through a virtual analysis though, which would be helpful in terms of choosing the right undertone for makeup. The reason for this is that, especially if you have a really neutral undertone in your skin, it can be really hard to see what the undertone is based on a picture, and we don't recommend the vein test as a valid way to find your skin undertone because there are too many factors like your skin overtone that can impact it and not give you a very valid result. The best thing you can do is to compare colors with different undertones close to your face or close to your skin, but even then you'd need to know what your dominant color type is, at least if you follow the tonal technique. So for example, if I'm a soft would always be what I'd need to put first as the main characteristic for my colors. Then if I want to explore undertone a little bit more, I'd need to compare soft warm colors to soft cool colors. If I move on to compare really bright warm colors and really bright cool colors, the brightness will likely distort the result and they might all feel kind of off. I know this is where it gets a little bit advanced, maybe a little bit confusing, but hopefully you're still with me on this. Also, my skin undertone is very neutral, but then because of my cool toned hair, cool blue eyes, the cooler colors will often look more striking on me. Silver jewelry, cool toned makeup, for example. So it's not always just about looking at the skin either, just to make things even more confusing. You can read a little bit more about what my virtual consultations cover and what kind of limitations we might have in the virtual consultations section on my website. I will link it down below for you. This is where consultants might operate differently, and yes, sometimes I have virtual clients where it's very clear to see the undertone, but most of the times it's only possible to get that part when I see you face to face, so that we can test out with the colored drapes and perhaps even compare different makeup colors with different undertones to see which way to go. But we can still go pretty far away with the virtual consultation. You are free to wear colors outside of your palette too. You might have noticed that I still wear a lot of black, and even though I've tried to move it further away from my face so it won't overpower my soft coloring. I do still wear dark colored sweaters and black jackets from time to time. You are totally free to wear any color you like, even if it's not in your palette. Really important to say that. It's important to note that personal preferences play a large role in fashion choices, and color analysis is just one tool to help you make more informed decisions. So ultimately, it's about finding a balance between your preferred styles and colors that enhance your natural features. Sometimes the color might fit, other times it might not, but then the style is completely right. So I like giving my outfits a subtle, edgy touch, and I find that black is such an amazing way to do just that. I do also feel quite liberated now knowing that there are so many other wearable alternatives to the dark color. It's not rocket science, there's no color police. Finally, getting back to the skeptics and the believers, the two different groups. I know color analysis can spark quite the discussion, especially online, but it's meant to be fun. Ultimately, it's not rocket science. I do find that it's quite magical, and I do believe that there are some colors that tend to look better on us than others, but there's no color police, and you shouldn't let someone tell you what to wear unless it feels right for you. So what happens after the analysis? Well, I always recommend my clients to start slowly. So the neutral colors you have in your wardrobe might be the best place for most people to start, just because they ultimately form the foundations of your wardrobe and they go so well with all of your accents. For example, sage green, like I'm wearing today, is actually considered a neutral color, and I can truly see that now that I've invested a little bit more in this color. It goes so well with anything from other neutrals like soft white, gray, beige, to accents like light blue, which is one of my favorite accent colors. So turn to your neutrals first to see if maybe you could add a few fresh ones there, or just generally if they feel coherent with your palette. Maybe it's simply a matter of styling them a little bit differently. Maybe you need to wear them in higher contrast, or maybe you need to wear more tonal combinations. That's usually also something we go over during an analysis with me, because I think it's a huge misconception that you need an entirely new wardrobe just because you get a color analysis. It's not just about which colors you wear, it's also about how you wear them. And you don't necessarily need a whole lot of new clothing to wear your colors differently. So after going through your neutrals, depending on how colorful you wish your wardrobe to be, start with maybe 2 to 3 accents to ensure that your wardrobe still feels coherent and to make sure you don't end up feeling overwhelmed by choices. I do have a video about how to curate a colorful wardrobe, but in a minimalistic way. So if you like the simple way of dressing, but you'd like to explore perhaps wearing a little bit more color, then I'll link that video down below for you. My current color palette is beige, gray, a little bit of black, sage green, white, navy, and light blue. I'm still dreaming of adding a few more colors to my wardrobe, but I do it very slowly just because I want to be as mindful as I possibly can. And since I used to be someone who never wore color, even though I feel much more confident with it today, it's been a slow process for me, even as a color consultant. And I think that's how it should be. I don't think you should just rush into it. It should still feel right for you. I'd also recommend maybe turning to Pinterest to create some color inspiration. So let's say you're a soft, cool, light color type like me. I'd seek out colors and outfits based on those keywords, that dimension of color. I also know that although I do still like wearing some contrasting combinations, the softer, slightly more tonal combinations often work better for me in my wardrobe. So that could be another kind of keyword I could seek out, tonal dressing. I could even pick out a few of the color names from my palette, like again, sage green or claret, and then search for those to see which outfit ideas might come up. I think this is always a nice way to see the color in action, to get even more inspiration on wearing it before potentially buying into it, and just to be able to see how it would work with your existing wardrobe. So there you have it, guys, some thoughts on how to approach color analysis in 2023, how to follow the principles and get off to a good start. I hope this video made it all a little bit clearer for you, and hopefully you know better now if color analysis is for you or not. Do make sure to check out the description box down below for additional resources, especially if you were hoping to maybe get to know the technique a little bit better, the different color types. I do have lots of additional articles and videos on that, which I will link down below. Make sure you give this video a like, make sure you subscribe to my channel as well for more slow fashion content. I would love to have you here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you very soon with another video. Bye guys!